Welcome to SF Commercial Property Conversations with Bruce Bean, where Bay Area investments meet expert insights. Get ready to unlock the strategies of commercial real estate success.
Today we're talking to David Criss, and David has a very interesting app that I think all of you commercial real estate agents and attorneys and any number of people that are doing inbound and outbound calls could use. I'm certainly very interested in this app. So David, it's great to have you. If you wouldn't mind just going through a little history of how you got to where you are, that would be great.
Thank you for the introduction, Bruce. And, the history is pretty cut and dry. I was a guy that was a bartender for a little bit longer than I should have been a bartender, right?
Okay.
I was tired of babysitting other men my age, so I was like, hey, why not get my real estate license, right? And now this should terrify people. I got my license in 7 days. That was allowed, okay? Just like a nurse, just like a doctor, licensed with the DVPR, helping you make the biggest financial decision you could ever make in your life.
You're terrifying me, but that's all right. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So, but it didn't click with me, right? Something about showing off 7 homes to a couple that had not even been to the bank yet to find out what they qualify for just really wasn't rubbing me the right way. And not even because it annoyed me, it's that they looked at 7 houses that were 500K a piece. They find out from the bank they only qualify for 420. Everything we just looked at is Section 8 now. Right? It's very hard. It's very hard to move that deal forward, especially with the wife, right? But that went all pretty well. And then an opportunity came around, and I got the opportunity essentially to be a remote high ticket sales rep for an online mentorship about Airbnbs and
Ah,
short-term rental marketing or short-term rental businesses and getting all that started. And that
yeah.
all went super duper well. And of course, I'm just no stereotype here, but listen, I'm Asian, I have glasses, I love video games, I love code. And as AI began to evolve, I started to fall in love with it. And then the two spaces kind of started to merge. And, we'll be talking about it here probably as we move forward, but we have an Airbnb concierge as well, right? With these AI services. But I kind of went separate ways from that company. And now I am the manager, the director of sales with Action2Call, which is going to be a company that is spearheading conversational artificial intelligence agents. So now to replace the word vomit is you no longer have to hire a receptionist, right, to take care of these inbound and outbound calls. These AI agents, they sound human enough to where you can have a dynamic conversation with them and you can increase your spread of your business while also keeping your overhead the same or even very much decreasing your overhead.
Okay. Well, so for those commercial real estate agents that are spending 3 to 6 hours a day cold calling and making 100 to 200 outbound calls, how can they avoid that by using your app or your technology?
I love that question. And sometimes a good way of looking at it is, are we even good at that? Right? Can we
No.
even trust ourselves to, even if we write our own script, can we trust ourselves to get it right every single time? To say everything that we're supposed to on each call, to honestly even ensure that we've woken up on the right side of the bed that day, right? Because I know I end up in the doghouse all the time, man. And I'm telling you, that's a rough night to sleep in the doghouse with mom breathing down my neck. Okay. So that being
Yeah.
said, this is kind of where the solution is great, is because these artificial intelligence agents, they can take 20 and make concurrent calls simultaneously. So the reality is it'll never miss a call. And you can upload your script, you can give us your script, or you can do it yourself. All of this can still be done by an individual. Just a bit of more of a learning curve, but you can give it your script. It can dynamically answer questions. It can even describe all of your properties based on interest. It can pull any pre-qualifying questions that you may have, like, oh, well, what is your budget, right? If they're selling, like, are there any liens on the property, right? Is there certain things that you're looking for, so on and so forth? It can ask all of these questions in a dynamic, in a conversational way, and even then integrate with all of your current systems where you log all that information. God forbid you're using Google Sheets, but whatever, we're praying for you. Okay, we can integrate with all of that, no problem. You can integrate, your viewers can integrate with all of that, no problem. And what we want to do and what can actually be reality and what we are doing for people right now is turning the whole entire real estate experience to more of a doctor's experience, to where you wake up in the morning and you just have appointments scheduled.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah, perfect.
Because you no longer have to make these cold calls anymore. Right?
Right.
Exactly. Doesn't get mad, doesn't have to pee, doesn't have to poo, doesn't have to pick up its kids from school because little Johnny punched another little kid in the face. None of that stuff happens. Weekends, holidays, the phones never turn off. You never miss a lead, right?
Well, and it sounds like emotionally they're never up or down. It's always at this bubbly level or whatever you want to create.
It's as
Professional,
simple as a
bubbly,
slider.
friendly, whatever you
Mhm.
decide.
Yep.
And
Absolutely. It's just as simple as a slider. Hey, that's a little too friendly. Cool. We'll just slide that down a little bit.
make
Right?
it less friendly. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's more
Yeah.
professional.
A little bit more professional is what
Yeah.
we like to say, right?
So here's my question. So if for me, I would want to at some point say to the interaction, say, well, this is my AI assistant or something. Is that a possibility? How do you work that idea?
So the thing is with the laws the way that they are today, right? Depending on where your company is here in the United States, it's still a little bit more of the Wild West, which is cool, right? But there's gonna be laws that come about where it has to say that it's an AI, so on and so forth, which
Mm.
we're not really anticipating as a problem anymore nowadays because God willing, our teenagers are falling in love with artificial intelligence on their cell phones. Okay. I don't know if anybody here has seen that movie Her, but that was a documentary, just like The Matrix. Okay, that was a documentary as well. but
Okay,
um,
okay.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that being said, what we actually, when people say get wise to it, we actually love it when it's like, hey, and we even do this test when we do our demo calls. Is this an AI? Right? And the
Yeah,
best way
right.
to handle that is to be transparent. It's like, yeah, absolutely. It even makes a little joke. You can have it make a little joke.
Oh, wow.
You
Yeah.
caught me, right? But here's the thing is Mr. Bean, I just caught it now that I said it. I love it. But
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Bean, right? Mr. Bean is so obsessed with customer satisfaction and client connection that he set up this dynamic, highly intuitive artificial intelligence to make sure that you're being served in the way that you need to be served when you need to be served that way. And push comes to shove, Mr. So and so, I can still transfer you over to him. I can still transfer you over to Bruce, no problem if you'd like to do that instead. Right? Because that would be a level two
Right,
solution
right.
that we have, which is the call transfer.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
So it can automatically kind of build that in and off you go from there. So
Yeah.
all these outgoing calls can be completely avoided. You can just fill up your calendar with appointments and this robocaller. Well, I must admit, I think we're all getting these spam calls right now, and
Sure.
some of them are robocalls, but they obviously are not AI driven. Some of them may be, but this sounds like a step further down that road.
100%. That's why we use like robot in robo is even though like JG robo marketing, right? It's just easy for people to understand, but it's
Yeah,
almost like a four-letter word in the industry
right.
because you start associating with like, hello, this is Janine. We are calling about the way in entering a sweepstake, blah, blah, like, you know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
we don't
You can
want any
tell
of
right
that.
away it's a robot. Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly, exactly. Right. And we do have data on this, especially like we've got a remodeling company that we've worked with. And bless her heart, sweet, she was an elderly lady looking for a backsplash. She had no idea. She had no idea that she was talking with an AI, 8-minute call the whole way through, back
Yeah.
and forth dynamic. She was even saying the cutest things like, oh, she couldn't remember what a backsplash was. She's like, oh, Lord, help me. Right. And the AI was able to go through this, like, hey, it's no problem. And walked her through all of that, a full 8-minute call, all the way down to the close, which would obviously be a free assessment over at her
Uh-huh.
house.
Right,
So
right.
this is amazing. And obviously with the way the laws are right now, you don't have to say it doesn't have to say that it's an AI unless it is prompted to. And even then, we already know how to handle that.
Right, right. You just described that. So fantastic operation. So, okay, so for the listeners, give us some sense of how much this might cost.
Beautiful. So it's all usually dependent on call volume, right? So what we like to say is it's still going to be way less than hiring a receptionist,
Yeah.
okay? Who's going to
Okay.
be on her phone way more she is on your phone. All right.
Yeah.
So, but usually the most popular plan that we have is going to be around 1500 for integrations, right? So this is
Right.
you telling us, okay, what are your systems? What is your CRM? Are you using Salesforce? Are you using Microsoft Dynamics? All of those different things, just so we can give it to our developer, which by the way, he went to college at 12. Guy's like a super genius. I'm just Asian. I ain't got nothing on this guy. All right. Common misconception, right? But of course, that's kind of what we pride ourselves in is we don't want there to be any delineation, any hiccups in your current flow process, and we kind of keep that all the same. So integrations are all there, and then it's about you get 1,000 minutes for free from
Yeah.
all of that. So
Okay.
we always try to figure out, hey, what's your call volume? Because we want to pick the plan where you're always going to fall somehow, some way into the free minutes that
Uh-huh.
you get, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then
Get past. Yeah.
anything over that is just going to be, it starts as low as 50 cents a minute and it's billed by the second. So even if you want
Okay.
to say hire my cousin in the Philippines, he's
Right.
still going to cost you $1 a minute and he's not going to be consistent and the phone still does turn off.
Well, okay, so that's my next question is that I'm getting all these calls from, I just recently I got one from Egypt,
Yeah.
or Egypt saying that, hey, we've got this great call center. We'll start making calls for you. You just give us a list and we'll start calling for you. You describe basically what you've described, but human people calling. So
Yep.
it sounds like this market may eliminate all of those people potentially.
Um, this might be a little, not really a sidebar, but yeah, we've tried to, there's a few remodel companies and mortgage companies that we've worked with that have certain telephony companies that they're using or dialers that they're using.
Right?
And we ask for API access. Come to find out, they don't want to give us any API access at all because it equates to human seats. They don't want to do anything with AI, right?
What what's API? Just let's
Essentially, like so, say like if you're on Salesforce,
yeah,
right?
okay.
Like CRMs, they have
Yeah.
APIs where developers will like have custom calls to where it's like,
Oh,
yeah, so it's like,
okay.
oh, okay, so on the phone call, I just got the name, and in real time on that phone call, we can make an API trigger with your CRM to
Uh-huh.
throw that name into your data in real time on
Ah.
that phone call,
Oh, I see. I
right?
got you.
So it's
Okay.
automated, essentially. It's
Yeah,
an
yeah, yeah, yeah.
automation, is what it is.
So is Salesforce maybe the best CRM to use for this connection? Doesn't matter?
Not here to endorse Salesforce. It is one of the most popular ones,
Yeah.
right? Us ourselves, we use GHL. It's going to be whatever anybody is comfortable with. That's why I even said Google Sheets,
Yeah,
right?
except maybe Google Sheet. You can do Google Sheets, but you're not fond of it.
Well, I mean, it's not that we're not fond of it. It's just we don't think that it's the most efficient for businesses to use, especially when you actually start moving some weight around, right?
Uh-huh.
You don't
Uh-huh.
want to be operating just off of Google Sheets when you're
Right.
tossing a lot of weight around. You want something that's a little bit more geared towards your business, a little more geared towards your use case, right?
Yeah. So, so you're saying that basically, what sort of volume do you think you need to leap from, say, Google Sheets into Salesforce or some other CRM?
I've been doing real estate for a year and a half to I've been doing real estate for 5 years and I'm selling $2.3 million homes. You
Yeah,
probably need a solid CRM when you're starting to do business like that to start to
yeah,
keep track of everything, right? Because the great thing about those CRMs is they have built-in automations that help people like us, right? And even on the chatbot side, right?
right, right.
Say you're a commercial real estate agent, right? You've got commercial properties and a whole portfolio, and you've got a website. Maybe you have a chatbot solution for that website as well. For when someone comes on there, then there's a little chat bubble that
Ah,
comes up,
ah,
right?
oh,
So you're
okay.
probably going to need a solid CRM to actually have that thing integrate with your data sets so it can actually update them in real time so that you don't end up with these conversations that people are having and then none of the data behind to make sure that you're doing your job better.
Right, right. So you got
Mhm.
to get it popped in there, and so then it'll pop up at the right moment in your calendar, and you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing and who you're
Right?
calling and all of that
Exactly.
information.
Exactly.
So,
Because when you up volume, you start to want to increase the the flexibility and the ability of your like standard operating procedures, right? You don't want to be
Right.
booking these appointments yourself anymore, right?
Well,
So you might
no,
use some other
no,
means.
yeah,
Exactly. So
no.
if
I mean,
you're using
I
these,
didn't book this appointment with you, so I'm.
exactly, exactly. So we need to make sure that we have access to whatever it is that you're using so we can integrate these things correctly. So when that AI voice agent does book an appointment on the phone, it actually updates on your calendar
Wow.
in
Okay.
real time.
So this sounds fantastic, and it sounds like it's not horribly expensive. But of course, big companies probably want this right away because they want their agents beating the street rather than making calls or
Mhm.
getting appointments. So I would see, I would sounds like your sales is going to be pretty easy, but maybe that's not the case.
Well, I wouldn't say easy is a strong word, right? We just want people focusing on what they do best,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Which is
yeah.
closing, right? Which is having these human connections, right? We're not here to replace Betsy, who's been with the company for 7 years, who's like family now, and you've been to her children's graduation. We just want you to give, and for real, we've met these people, like,
Right,
because it's
right,
hard to
yeah,
fire someone. Like, you're not here to fire them. We're not here to have anybody fire anybody. But what we are here is to give you the opportunity to multiply her, right? To
right.
because she's so good at her job. So now we can emulate her. And honestly, maybe we can give Betsy some breathing room. Maybe Betsy can have a family emergency and she can leave, and there isn't any anxiety from the business owner that, dang, my best person on the phones just had to take care of this thing. Now maybe I have to get on the phones. Maybe this other person that isn't so good has to get on the phones. It's something we just recently dealt with is no upward mobility, right? So if you've got someone who's stuck in a spot and they're just so good at that that you don't even know how to replace them, but they're not going to move up, you're still going to lose them some way somehow. So
Right,
this
right.
gives them the ability to maybe even step away from that a little bit and start wearing a few more hats because they want to grow with the company.
So give us an example of a kind of best case scenario of a client that you worked with.
Oh yeah, well I mean that would be it's just because everyone's so cut and dry, and it was just such a great example. It was going to be that remodeling company when
Yes.
that sweet old lady got on the phone and she was just, bless her heart, she just drug everything out. What was supposed to be a 3-minute phone call turned into an 8-minute phone call, right?
Yeah,
And even and back and forth, like it kept going in terms like, hey, does this time work or does this time work? And that time wasn't available for her, so then it gave her another time and that wasn't available. And then it picked another time because it's fully integrated with the calendar. So it
right.
knows what times are open and what times aren't open. And it was able to land on a time with that customer, even through all of that back and forth, right?
Wow.
And her being easily, I mean, easily had to be in her late 60s, early 70s.
So how big a company is that?
Oh,
Remodeling?
yeah. Gosh, they're doing probably around 50 to 70,000 minutes.
Oh, okay.
What?
All right.
Right. And then one of the bigger companies we just started working with, which is a rehabilitation company, right? They're
Oh,
just
wow.
doing really, really amazing stuff with people that are recovering from drug addiction. They
Oh, wow.
do 100 to 200,000 minutes per month. And then we just started recently working with a government entity out here in Florida as well, right?
Oh,
So being
yeah.
able to get these agents off the phone with really remedial things like, hey, who do I talk to about this power outage? Hey, do I da 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 da, right?
Yeah.
Now this thing can dynamically take them or tell them where they need to go without a human ever having to pick up the phone.
What do you think? Are you going to get doctors and hospitals on this program?
It's already happening, right?
Really?
Yeah, there's even already now this one I'm kind of a little weird about, but they have like nurse AI. Now I'm Filipino. My whole family's been a nurse, okay? I'm the only one that didn't enlist or go medical, all right? And to the contrary of what my mother thought, I didn't end up in a cardboard box. Okay. But I still think that there's like that's why we emphasize so much about the human touch is not supposed to go away, right?
Yeah, right.
But in terms of say like dentistry offices,
Yeah,
right? Maybe
right.
like minute clinics or things like that, right? The front desk and those, bless their hearts, those they wear a lot of hats. You've seen
Right,
them running
right,
around back
right.
there behind that plexiglass, and they shut it quick because they want you to shut up because they got a bunch of other stuff to do, right?
Right.
It's
No,
like,
they got
sir,
the
that
other
pen
stuff
is the
to do.
germs.
Yeah,
That goes in the
yeah.
germ pen box, right? So we also help them. That's why we're HIPAA compliant. right?
Ah.
Because this will also be and already is being integrated into those kinds of industries.
Wow. All right.
Mhm.
Well, this is fantastic information. I want to know more. I want to see how this all works. How would people get a hold of you, David?
Oh, beautiful. So as you can see here, it's going to be Action2Call.com. That's going to be our website. That's going to be our company. My email is going to be david@Action2Call.com. And what we can do for you is we can make all of this happen without you having to worry about all of the technicals, right? But here's the thing. All of this can still be done on your own. There's a company called Retail, right? And they
Yeah.
work with other companies called 11 Labs, which are the voice agents. And the savvy viewers that you have that are maybe really, really in love with this stuff, maybe they have a tech background, they can try their bat at it. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but they can take a swing, right? But if that ever gets too complicated, or if you want to be more focused on scaling than the tech side of things, we've already done this 100 times over. www.action2call, the number 2.com, or you can email me directly at david@action2call.com. And my phone number is also 904-445-04 or 4432. So again, it's 904-445-7432. Choked up a little bit there.
That's all right. I know this whole conversation's on AI, so, it's good to see that AI can occasionally slip up.
No, oh, it is so, dude, you got me. Don't tell, I mean, you can view it. I don't know if your viewers have seen, they've done podcast episodes,
Oh, yeah.
and it's two people. I didn't even know until they told me that it was AI, that it was AI. It's getting spooky.
Wow.
Even the mouth movements, the
Yeah.
hand motions,
Everything.
everything. So you say it's a joke, but just like The Matrix, just like iRobot, what the statement you just made, that's a documentary. I'm going to be AI soon. I'm telling you, man, I'm going to be AI very soon.
All right. All right. Well, as we move forward into this new world, you call David because he can help you along the way. All right. This was very fun.
That's a wrap on today's journey through the SF commercial real estate scene. Ready to share your story? Visit sfcommercialconversations.com/guest. Your insights could lead the next conversation.